Today in the Paddock. This week we're highlighting the impact of women in agriculture research, including a touching story on the resilience and pride of Ugandan women farmers. We'll take a closer look at the agriculture industries in our hometowns, sit down with the new Dean of the School of Agriculture and Natural Resources, and speak with ABAC's very own President Brundage on the role of women in agriculture. Hello and welcome to the Paddock. I'm Hannah Fletcher. It's that time of the year again. The Jihad Woback Rodeo is set to take place April 4th and 5th. Stallions, go to abac.edu/rodeo to learn how you can get a free ticket. The Tifton Farmers Market kicks off on April 5th at 9 a.m. at the Tifton Gardens on Main Street. Visitors can browse a large selection of locally made crafts, homemade food, goods, and fresh produce from local farmers. The University of Missouri's Extension's Pearls of Production program launched a webinar series aimed at educating women ag producers. The series began on March 25th with a session on biosecurity for small ruminants and covered topics such as animal health, nutrition, and beekeeping. The program will conclude with an in-person conference on November 8th at the University of Missouri, offering hands-on training and networking opportunities. More details can be found on the MU Extension website. FarmWise Labs, a California-based agricultural technology company, is advancing AI-powered robotics for weed control with their Titan FT35 machine, using artificial intelligence and computer vision to identify and remove weeds without herbicides, reducing chemical use and labor cost. The company, founded in 2016, has focused on automation to address workforce shortages in agriculture. As FarmWise continues to refine its technology, it aims to expand its applications beyond weeding to other precision farming tasks. Nutrient Ag Solutions has officially opened its new innovation farm near Champaign, Illinois. Spanning 282 acres, this facility is dedicated to advancing agriculture research and development. The farm will serve as a hub for testing new technologies and practices aimed at enhancing crop production and sustainability. Through collaborations with farmers, ranchers, and industry partners, Nutrien aims to drive innovation in agriculture. The ribbon-cutting ceremony took place on March 24, 2025. Now a story on the latest in women in ag research.
Today, we're exploring the impact of gender on agricultural research through the work of Jessica Spence, a doctoral candidate at Virginia Tech, who examines the challenges women farmers face in Uganda. Jessica's research revealed the deep pride women farmers have in their work. She explained.
I kind of asked them more off the cuff, like, what made you want to be in the photo? And that with every single participant was evident. Oh, I'm proud. I want to show you my ox plow. This is mine. I bought this. I paid for this. I grew this.
That pride drives perseverance, even in the face of challenges.
The women who are working incredibly hard and facing a lot of gender-based and cultural challenges, they're persevering through all of that to provide for their family, and that pride to be the provider in that way and keep their children fed and keep paying for school fees is such a motivating force.
Jessica also pointed out the gendered barriers in agriculture.
Cash crops and crops for home consumption being typically gendered. And so women are often the ones, if maybe both husband and wife are farming, the husband may have a cocoa plantation or coffee, or be growing a fruit that's considered a cash crop, while the wife is growing tomatoes, corn, other vegetables that are often, sold. The excess is sold off for money, but mostly meant for home consumption, growing what they're eating and then selling the excess. And finances aren't often split 50-50 or brought back into the household 50-50. But that a lot of times that woman will retain the money from her sales, but it's much less, and she's still typically expected to feed her family.
She advocates for more gender-specific support in farming.
A more major finding of my study is how can we serve women better to take that pride and give them tools to be better served and work with just farmers, and because that pride is a motivating factor. Where, say, a recommendation I have is gender specific extension and information and training and knowledge sharing and that kind of thing. If it was specifically for women, with this element of pride, that they would possibly take grasp and heed of that and really apply it and have greater outcomes for themselves and their families and ultimately the country.
Jessica wrapped up by highlighting the far-reaching impact of her research.
Women farmers are the muscle behind that backbone. So that's the leading industry in the country's GDP, but it's women feeding their families and their kids. I think, and that doesn't just affect Uganda, that affects us everywhere on a global scale.
We spent our spring break taking a deeper look at the agriculture in our hometowns. From Florida to Atlanta, Allison Cook with that story.
Thank you, Hannah. Agriculture is more than just an industry. It's deeply connected to the identity of communities across the Southeast. Our reporters return to the places they grew up to explore how farming shapes local economies, traditions, and ways of life.
Agriculture is at the heart of many of our towns across the Southeast. And today, we take a closer look at 3 communities through the eyes of our reporters who call these places home. From Georgia to Florida, we will see how agriculture shapes these hometowns. Locust Grove, Georgia is a town where fruit production, horticulture, and agritourism go hand in hand. Known for its U-Pick activities and family-friendly farm experiences, this community has embraced agriculture not only as an industry, but as a destination. Local farms offer visitors an experience to learn about sustainable growing practices while enjoying hands-on activities like picking fresh fruit and flowers and feeding farm animals. These activities draw visitors from all over, which allows Locust Grove to continue to grow as a hub for both agriculture and tourism.
Moving down south, just outside of Waycross, lies Maynard, Georgia, a small town where agriculture is a way of life. Vegetable farming is a significant industry here, with local farmers growing crops like squash, cucumbers, and bell peppers that supply markets locally and across the state. The demand for locally grown food continues to increase, and these farmers work hard to meet that need. Maynard's vegetable industry continues to grow, providing fresh produce for communities near and far.
Moving further down in the region, while the name Citrus County might suggest a focus on fruit, beef production is actually a major part of agriculture in this area. Farmers and ranchers in Citrus County raise high-quality cattle that supply beef to markets across Florida and beyond. The industry faces challenges with rising feed costs and land development pressures, but local ranchers find ways to keep their operations thriving.
From agritourism in Locust Grove, vegetable production in Manor, and beef production in Citrus Springs, these hometowns showcase the diversity of Southern agriculture. While each town faces its own challenges, one thing remains clear. Agriculture is not just an industry, it's a way of life. Reporting for the Paddock, I'm Allison Cook.
I'm Colleen Barber, and here's your market report for the week, covering some key Southeast commodities: corn, cotton, soybeans, and cattle. Corn prices were down 3 cents this week. Corn futures contracts are trading at $4.51 a bushel, marking the lowest level since March 6th. The Southeastern region corn futures market are experiencing a period of adjustment with domestic production forecasts and economic indicators. For cotton prices, the May cotton futures contract settled at 65.68 cents per pound, reflecting a slight increase from last week's 65.21 cents. On Tuesday, March 25th, May soybean futures opened at $10.01 per bushel, down 5 cents from the previous close. The national average cash price decreased to $9.47 per bushel. The feeder cattle index reported a value of $287.25. The April futures contract reported in at $285.87, up 36%. The April live cattle futures contract closed at $207.07, marking an increase of 70 cents from the previous session. With a combination of fluctuating futures prices, market variations, and a strong demand for feeder cattle suggest a resilient market for live cattle in the southeastern United States. That's all for our market report. In the Paddock, I'm Colleen Barber.
Dr. Andrew Thorne was announced as the new Dean of the School of Agriculture and Natural Resources. We sat down with him to learn more about this role in the future of the school.
With my background in teacher preparation, I want to ensure that we are doing a fantastic job within the classroom, that we're really doing a fantastic job in reaching out with stakeholders and working with students on getting quality internship opportunities for our students, that they're really conducting and learning within their internships, as well as reaching out with stakeholders and how can they help support the school. How can we do this together with a faculty group within the 3 departments within the school, and really expanding and going to new heights within the school.
Dr. Thorne will begin this new role on May 1st.
Hello and welcome to your weather update. I'm Emily Nunnery. The National Integrated Drought Information System reported that there are 29 primary counties with the USDA drought disaster designations. 1.2 million Georgia residents are in areas of drought, according to the Drought Monitor. The Climate Prediction Center's 6 to 10-day outlook for March 31st to April 4th, 2025 indicates a higher likelihood of above normal temperatures across much of the United States, particularly in the southern regions. The monthly precipitation outlook shows that the chance of precipitation will be 33 to 40% below normal. States such as Florida, New Mexico, and Arizona will experience 40 to 50% chance of below normal precipitation. And that's your weather update.
We also got the chance to sit down with ABAC's president, Dr. Brundage, to talk about the impact of women in agriculture. She shared her thoughts on the opportunities ahead, the importance of leadership, and how ABAC is helping shape the future for women in the industry. Thank you so much, President Brundage, for taking the time to speak with me today. Now, I know that you've been traveling across Georgia, experiencing Georgia agriculture. What has been one of your key takeaways from that?
Well, I've had the opportunity, Hannah, to do a lot of traveling across the state and since I've been at ABAC, and I've been really impressed with it. It's interesting as you go up into North Georgia, the topography starts to change, and here we are in the coastal plains in Tipton, and getting an opportunity to interact with a lot of producers, and you just see the wide variety of crops that we grow in Georgia. And I think the most amazing thing, especially in the rural areas, which I spend a lot of time in the rural areas of Georgia, is just seeing how the farmers support one another and the sense of community that you see in each of these small little towns and farming communities. It's just been really impressive to see how it all pulls together to be the #1 industry sector in the state of Georgia and the #1 producer in a lot of these crops. Across the country. And so it's just been a real impressive learning opportunity for me.
Well, speaking of traveling, you were recently at the Women in Ag Summit and you spoke to the women there. What were some of your key messages for those women?
I had the opportunity to present to about 300 women who had various roles in agriculture. And I think my #1 message, as I tried to prepare my remarks for the summit, was just to make sure that women understand how important it is to feel empowered and to really just follow, their dreams in terms of, what they see themselves doing, and to not let any barriers get in the way of their progress. And it was interesting because I took a bit of a risk and shared some of my story and some of my personal anecdotes, if you will, of things that I've had to go through to be able to kind of reach the level of position, where I am today. And wasn't sure how that was all going to go, but I think it all worked out. And, we talked about the rising increase of women in agriculture, and we also talked about the unique perspectives and how women look at things and some of the skills that they bring into the sector. And it was just really an impressive day to see so many committed women there that serve in the agricultural sector.
One fact that you talked about there that really stuck with me is the fact that 51% of ag students here are women.
That's correct.
Why are we seeing this number continue to grow year after year?
I think that a lot of the majors that we offer are very attractive to women that are looking for careers in agriculture. I think women by nature do very well in building networks, and I think with this being the #1 industry sector in the state, I think having a strong network and the way that we prepare students for the various jobs in the workforce, I think is also a great opportunity for women to come in and to be able to not only learn that educational foundation in the classroom, but then be able to have those hands-on opportunities through our learning labs, our outdoor learning labs at the farm, the golf course, the forest, the beef units, everything that we have here that provides our students with the hands-on. As you know, we are the second leading school in the country in agricultural education. And we have a lot of our female students that are enrolled in that program, which then they go out into these school environments and helping to prepare the next generation of students that are interested in agriculture and careers in agriculture. And so I just think we have a nice ecosystem here. I think we do a great job of preparing our students, and I think women are growing. I think they're thriving. I think they're doing tremendous things and succeeding in agriculture. And I just so thrilled that ABAC is able to provide such a strong foundation for our female students.
Can you go into a little bit more detail about how ABAC is specifically empowering women?
Yeah, I think not only through our foundation in our classroom, which provides them with the knowledge that they need, but those hands-on opportunities that we have for them to be able to go out and practice, those theories and to get that hands-on applied experience. But also it's more than that. It's the networking with the clubs that we have. We have so many different clubs here that provide our students with those opportunities to build those networks, to be able to outreach and form relationships with business and industry, and as well as being able to travel and see other parts of the country with some of the other unique agricultural opportunities that exist in our country. And I also think the ability to have those internship opportunities and experiences for our students that that move in that direction as well. I think it just really makes a well-rounded student. They're very prepared to enter the workforce, and I think also just to be lifelong learners and leaders within their communities. And I think that ABAC does a really great job of that.
Yes, ma'am. Is there anything else you would like to add?
No, I really appreciate the time to come with you there this morning. And
thank you so much for your time.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Well, that will wrap us up for today. Thanks for tuning in for the latest Ag and ABAC news. From all of us here at the Paddock, I'm Hannah Fletcher. Have a great week and G-Haw, y'all.